Last year alone, cybersecurity job openings skyrocketed past 750,000 in the US. Companies are desperate, not for hackers, not for coders, but for security consultants who can help them avoid million-dollar fines and lawsuits. And here's the best part. You don't need a tech degree, coding skills, or 10 years of experience to land one of these high-paying roles. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can go from zero to a six-figure cybersecurity consulting career, even if you're starting from scratch. We are breaking this down step by step. What cybersecurity consultants actually do, the exact skills you need, the best certifications that open doors so you don't waste money on useless ones, and the fastest way to get hired even if you have zero experience. Imagine 6 to 12 months from now, you could be working remotely, earning upwards of $150,000, helping companies secure their systems. No more dead-end jobs, no more chasing certifications that don't matter, no more wondering how to break into tech. Or you could do what most people do, keep applying to random jobs, hoping the recruiter calls, and then wondering why your applications keep getting ignored. The choice is yours, right? So if you're serious about leveling up in 2025, stay with me to the end, because what I'm about to show you can change the entire trajectory of your career. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more cybersecurity videos like this one. So, cybersecurity consulting is not the average role people talk about often for several reasons. But let's start by answering the question, what exactly does a cybersecurity consultant do? Basically, cybersecurity consultant is about solving real business problems. Okay, so I will give you an example. Let's say a billion-dollar healthcare company just got hit, right, with a ransomware attack. Patient records are locked, surgeries are delayed, and they are losing millions of dollars by the hour. They don't need a hacker at this point in time, and they don't also need a software engineer. So what they need right now is a cybersecurity consultant, someone who understands risk, compliance, and someone who understands strategy. Now, your job would be to find the weak spot by analyzing their systems, policies, security risk, right? That'll be your job. Now, fix the problems by recommending and implementing solutions, whether that's better security controls, compliance, measures, or staff training. Also, you advise leadership by communicating security risk to executives who typically don't speak tech, but they need to understand why this matters. Now, if you're doing all this important stuff, the first assumption is that you need years on years of experience, a truckload of certifications, and all the work experience you can lay your hands on. But my friend, can I tell you a secret only known to a few? Most people in cybersecurity consulting don't start with an IT background. Many come from business, law, finance, even healthcare. Some are former accountants, project managers, or compliance officers who pivot into cybersecurity. Others even start from scratch, and they use certifications, training, and networking to land their first job. So what I will do is I'm going to be explaining in detail how you can do this too as a beginner. And trust me, it's worth watching this video to the end for. So basically, to be a cybersecurity consultant, right, the major skills employers need is your ability to solve problems, communicate, and understand risk. It sounds simple, right? Because unlike most careers where you have a straight line path from degree to job, cybersecurity consulting is all about strategy, learning, and smart positioning. And that's what this video will give you. So the question is, how exactly do you get started? The first step is mastering the right skills. Now, contrary to how most people approach cybersecurity careers, the first step is not getting a bunch of certifications. No, certifications don't get you hired. Skills do. Now, like I mentioned earlier, what matters in cybersecurity consulting is, number one, your understanding of risk. Okay? See, companies don't just care about hacks. They care about losing money, getting sued, and damaging their reputation. So, if you can connect security risk to business risk, you are valuable. Number two is your knowledge of compliance and regulations. Every industry has security laws. Healthcare has HIPAA, finance has PCI DSS, Global companies, they deal with ISO 27001 and also GDPR. If you understand how these regulations work, then you're already ahead. Okay, you're ahead already. Now, number 3, you need an understanding of security assessment. Okay, if a company is hiring you to evaluate their security, the question is, can you assess vulnerabilities? Can you check if their security policies are up to date? Right? As you can see, you don't need coding for any of the things I've listed so far. Do you? No. You just need a structured approach to analyzing security gaps. Then lastly, you need communication skills. If you can explain security risk to non-technical executives, that's a key skill you've got there. And that's because the best cybersecurity consultants don't just fix problems, they convince leadership to act. The second step after mastering the right skills is getting certifications that actually matter. What do I mean? When it comes to cybersecurity consulting, certifications are important, but only if you use them strategically. You won't impress anyone with a mountain of certifications. Okay? The question is, can you apply what you learned to real business problems? See, you can't say you are a cloud security person and your certification is in ethical hacking or a risk specialist with cloud security certifications. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. You're getting the gist, right? So you need to understand which certification basically applies to you depending on what background you're coming from and the direction you want your consulting career to go. Okay, so for instance, if you're starting as a beginner, right, you go for Computer Security Plus. This is the industry entry-level CERT. Okay, and why? Because it covers all cybersecurity basics and helps you land your first role. So if you have some business or compliance experience, certified in governance, risk, and compliance, that is CGRC, is a great certification for cybersecurity consultants because it focuses on risk management, security policies, and regulatory compliance. Also, in the same vein, if you want to fast track into consulting roles, Certified Information Security Manager, popularly known as CISM, is perfect if you're aiming for higher paying risk and security management roles. Okay. Now, once you have any of these options that I've mentioned, you can get the other certification based on your specialization. I'll be telling you about the 3 highest paying specializations in a bit. So in step number 3, you need to gain real world experience, even if you've never worked in tech. If you've seen any of my videos, you know how simple this is. You can volunteer for security risk assessment for small businesses or startups, right? You can use open source GRC tools like Simple Risk and eRamba, where you can practice running security assessment, logging risk, or tracking compliance, or even you can join Capture the Flag, right? Like I say, even if you're not a hacker, CTF competitions help you learn real-world cybersecurity skills and show hiring managers you're proactive. Websites like Hack the Box and Try Hack Me, they're also great for this one. At this point, you have the skills that actually matter, the certifications that help, right? And the real-world experience that makes you stand out. So, how do you land your first cybersecurity consulting job? That's the next thing. And that's the big question I am answering next. See, it all starts with a resume. A resume properly highlights your capabilities as a cybersecurity consultant. Yes, you need a resume even as a consultant. For example, you want your resume to start with a strong summary like cybersecurity consultant specializing in risk management and compliance, experienced in assessing security framework like NIST, ISO 27001, and SOC 2 to help organizations strengthen their defenses. You also need to include the real-world experience we just talked about on your resume. This could be written as so simple as, for instance, risk and compliance projects, self-initiated, assess security policies for a local nonprofit using Simple Risk, or identified 3 major compliance gaps and provided recommendations based on ISO 27001. You can also add implemented security awareness training that reduced phishing clicks rate by 40%. You see, just make sure that you're highlighting what you did, the tool you used, and the results you achieved. You can watch my other videos on how to create a winning resume. The link to that will be added in the description. Lastly, I can never say this enough. Please, for goodness sake, Tailor your resume to the job description. If a job post says experience with HIPAA compliance, on your resume, don't just say familiar with compliance. Say reviewed HIPAA compliance policies for healthcare clients, ensuring adherence to security best practices. The main thing you need to take away from this is your resume isn't just about what you've done, okay? It's about how well you match what the company is looking for. If you don't represent yourself on paper as the candidates they are looking for, trust me, you will never hear from them. And having a great resume is not the end of the road. I believe you know that. The next thing you need to get right, interviews, and then jobs. So how do you do that? Well, leverage your LinkedIn profile to do this, okay? And to achieve this, well, you need to optimize your headline to reflect, and I mean your headline on your LinkedIn, let it reflect what you do. Instead of aspiring cybersecurity professional, use cybersecurity consultant, risk compliance, GRC specialist. You also want to post content about cybersecurity insights and then engage with cybersecurity professionals. You also need to use strategic networking, right? You want to use that as well. Join cybersecurity communities on LinkedIn, Discord, and even Slack. Or you can also attend free virtual cybersecurity meetups and then introduce yourself to the hiring managers that you meet there. And even more importantly, find people who work in cybersecurity consulting, right? And ask for advice, not a job. When you build relationships, job referrals happen naturally. So if you get all the processes I've explained so far right, if you get it right, then you have an interview to prepare for. So now the question is, what differentiates a cybersecurity consulting interview from any other interview? A cybersecurity consulting interview isn't just about what you know. It's about how you think, right? Companies are not just hiring you for your knowledge of security frameworks. They're hiring you for your ability to analyze complex security problems and then make informed recommendations and then guide decision makers towards the best solutions. That means they are evaluating how well you can assess risk and prioritize them, because not all security threats are equal. How effectively you can align security with business goals, right? Because security isn't just about stopping attacks. It's about enabling the business to operate safely. And also how you approach problem solving under pressure, because cybersecurity incidents require fast strategic decision making. So for this, a common factor you would notice in this requirement is that you need to prove you're not only knowledgeable, but also an authority when it comes to security. For instance, if the interviewer says, "Tell me about yourself," there is a way to respond. Don't just say, "Well, I've always been interested in cybersecurity." No, don't say that. That doesn't show authority compared to when I say something like this. I specialize in helping organizations identify security risk and implement compliance frameworks. In my last project, I assessed a company's security policies using NIST standard and provided recommendations that strengthen their security posture. You see, that response shows knowledge and confidence, okay, that you've gained from experience. Another common question that you might be asked is, and this is, as in a consulting interview, is this: how do you explain security risk to non-technical clients? And to answer this, don't be basic by saying something like, "I try to simplify things." No. What are the things you try to simplify? Give examples. Compare that to saying, "I break risk down into business impact." For instance, instead of saying SQL injection is a risk, I say, "This vulnerability allows attackers to steal customer data, which could result in lawsuits and compliance fines." So what I'm saying is, expect cybersecurity consulting interview to test your thought process just as much as your technical knowledge. I get a lot of messages from people asking how they can break into cybersecurity. It's tough, especially if you're like how I used to be, stuck in a job that doesn't pay enough, or feeling like you've hit a wall. I get it. That is why I created something more than just these videos you're watching. Something structured, practical, and focused on real action. It's called the 5-day cybersecurity job challenge. This isn't just content you'll binge and forget. We're talking hands-on learning, real skills, and daily guidance. 2 hours a day for 5 days. It's all designed to push you from thinking about change to actually making it happen. Look, I love making these YouTube videos, but let's be honest, how many times have you watched a great video, thought, I'm going to do something about that, and then didn't? That is why this challenge is different. It's designed to be your support. Okay, we're not just learning, you're giving tasks, actionable steps every single day with live Q&As where I personally help you avoid mistakes and land the jobs that will change your life. Watching my videos is great, but if you want to go beyond watching, if you're ready to take real steps toward a $250,000 career a year, come join the challenge. The link is in the description below. You can't miss it. Now, enjoy the rest of this video, but don't forget to come back when you're ready to take that next step. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about something very key that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. How to go from a beginner to a cybersecurity consultant, earning 6 figures fast, so within 1 or 2 years of your career. One thing many people don't realize about careers is that the only limit that exists is the one we create ourselves. We create this in our mind. I'll use myself as an example. In my training program, we say you can start a career in cybersecurity in 90 days. At this point, it's not a question of how anymore, because this is something we have done over and over and over again in even lesser time. It's a question of how willing are you to put in the work? Like, how hungry are you to reach your highest potential? How dedicated are you to being the best version of yourself? And it's the same question I will ask you if you're a beginner looking to become a consultant in the near future. So can you put in the work that is required? Not only that, can you learn to make smart career moves based on the information you have? Because here is the mistake most people make. They get comfortable, right? They land a cybersecurity job, stay in the same position for years, and then wonder why they are stuck making $80,000 while others are crossing $150,000 plus. Look, there is a system to leveling up, and if you follow it, you can hit 6 figures in record time. And on that note, let's talk about an important part of this system and something I made reference to earlier, which is specialization. Okay? And I will start by telling you the truth no one tells you. Even if you try to do everything in cybersecurity, you will be average at best. But if you specialize, you become irreplaceable. Yes, presently, there are 3 high-paying cybersecurity consulting specializations that companies will pay top dollars for. Number 1 is risk and compliance consultant. Okay, if you love understanding security laws, frameworks like NIST, ISO 27001, and SOC 2, and helping companies stay compliant, this is for you. In this specialization, you can earn between $100,000 to $150,000 because compliance is such a big deal, and most companies don't understand it. So what do? These guys, they pay consultants big money to keep themselves from getting fined. Number 2 specialization is cloud security consultant. So if you focus on securing AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, you will never struggle to find work. Plus, you can earn as high as $120,000 to $180,000. But why does this specialization pay this much? Well, you've probably heard that 90% of companies are moving to the cloud. And it's true. With security threats constantly rising, you will constantly be in demand if you know how to secure cloud environment. And finally, the number 3 specialization to consider is offensive security or penetration testing. If you love hacking into systems ethically, penetration testers make serious money too, in the range of $110,000 to $160,000. So my point is, pick a specialization early. See, the sooner you become an expert, the faster you hit 6 figures. Moving on, the next part of our leveling up system is stacking the right certifications. If you recall, I mentioned certifications that a cybersecurity consultant would generally need. Now, let's get a little more specific. The mistake I've seen people make most times is getting certifications they believe will make them the most money, but that's not how it works. Your choice of certification should be determined by your specialization. Okay, for instance, if you're going into risk and compliance, get CISA, CISM, or CISSP. If you're going into cloud, right, cloud security, get AWS Certified Security Specialist or CCSP, right? And if you're going into offensive security, you can get OSCP or CEH, all right? So don't make the mistake of acquiring random certs that don't match your career goals, all right? So let's make it clear. The right move is pick your specialization first, then get the certification that companies want for that field. Okay, now listen, this is the point where you actually transition from being a beginner to being a consultant earning 6 figures. Okay, if you prefer to work with a large consulting firm first, I recommend that you stay at your first job for 12 to 18 months. While you're there, learn as much as possible. Take on extra security projects, right? Build relationships with senior people in that company. After that 12 to 18 months, start looking for higher paying roles. Recruiters love cybersecurity professionals with 1 to 2 years of hands-on experience. See, by this point, you should have a certification plus real experience. So you can apply to higher paying consulting firms or enterprise companies. Finally, negotiate like a professional, like a pro, like an expert. Don't just accept the first offer. If a company offers $100,000, counter it with $120,000. If they say no, ask for a sign-on bonus or extra training budget. The most important thing I need you to note here is the biggest raises in cybersecurity don't come from staying in one company. They come from strategic job hopping every 1.5 to 2 years. Okay, now landing a 6-figure consulting role within the first year of your career sounds amazing, but what if I told you there is a next level? Yes, what if you could take the same skills, but instead of working for someone else, you start your own cybersecurity consulting business and you make $200K, $300K, or even $500,000 a year? And this is one huge opportunity most people never even consider because they think they need a ton of experience or getting clients may be difficult and it's just too risky, right? Meanwhile, you don't need decades of experience in cybersecurity, right? Neither do you need to quit your job tomorrow to strike out on your own. You just need to learn how to position yourself. First, you must understand that there is a market for your skill. If a company gets hacked, it can lose millions. So they will rather pay you very well to prevent that from happening. Now, think about it this way. A company that makes $10 million a year will gladly pay you $10,000, $50,000 per project if it helps them avoid a cyber breach. Now, let's do some basic math. If you land just one client per month at $10,000 project, that is $120,000 a year. Now, if you raise your rate, $20,000 per project, that's $240,000 a year. And if you start multiple clients, now you're looking at $300,000 to $500,000, even more. The opportunity is massive. And the best part is you can start while you still have a full-time job. Secondly, don't fall for the myth that you need a fancy website, an LLC, or a business plan before you start. All you need is just one paying client to get started. Now, let me show you how to get your first client in 30 days or less. Are you ready? Let me show you. Your first option is to tap into your current network. Okay, if you work in IT, cybersecurity, or tech, someone you already know needs cybersecurity help. Also, use LinkedIn. You can post, "I'm helping businesses improve their cybersecurity posture." If you or your company needs guidance, we can talk. All right. Then use direct messaging. DM like 5 to 10 people in your network. Do that daily and offer a free security assessment. If you do this well enough, this will eventually lead to paid work. The next option to explore is to offer small businesses a quick fix solution. Find local businesses like law firms, accountants, or even doctor's offices. Send them a short message. You can say like, "Hey, I noticed most small businesses don't have proper cybersecurity protections in place. I offer a quick security health check. It's simple, fast, and shows you exactly where your business is vulnerable. Would you be open to a 15-minute chat? It's as simple as that, okay? And lastly, get in front of business owners fast. How do you do this? Join business networking groups both online and offline. Attend local entrepreneur meetups. That's where you will find business owners who need cybersecurity but don't know where to start. Then you can also offer free cybersecurity workshops at co-working spaces, chambers of commerce, or startup hubs. See, I said all of that to say your first client doesn't come from cold emailing 10,000 companies. It comes from leveraging connections and offering real value upfront. And before you know it, you have a steady stream of businesses lining up to work with you. But there's also another part of this equation that you need to get right. It is about packaging your services the smart way. See, I've met people who say they are consultants, and when you ask them what they do, they respond like, I do cybersecurity consulting, or they say, I help businesses with security. That's too vague, and nobody is going to buy that. Instead, talk about what you do in terms of selling solutions that business owners actually understand. Especially when pitching or sharing what you do online. For example, let's say you are into cyber risk and compliance, right? You can say something like, I help businesses meet SOC 2, ISO 27001 or NIST compliance. And this is ideal for tech startups, SaaS companies, and financial firms. You see, that's how you present the value you bring, okay? Because the way you present it goes a long way in showing potential clients why it is worth the amount you charge. So give your cybersecurity consulting career the image it deserves so that it can thrive. And this is so important because consulting isn't just another job. It's a launch pad to a life-changing income, incredible job security, and the chance to make a real impact on companies that desperately need your skills. Everything I've shared with you today is the exact roadmap that people just like you have used to break into cybersecurity. I hope I've been able to leave you better than I met you today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.